I'm to read a story about Tyson Jacobs' Mario Party 3 Meltdown. The Saturday afternoon hummed with the familiar, pixelated symphony of the Nintendo 64. 8-year-old Tyson Jacobs sat cross-legged on the shag carpet, controller clutched in his sweaty palms, eyes glued to the glowing screen. Beside him, his 6-year-old sister, Lily, giggled, her tiny fingers effortlessly navigating Princess Peach through the whimsical boards of Mario Party 3. The air was thick with competitive tension, a usual fixture in their digital coliseum. Tyson, a self-proclaimed expert in all things Nintendo, prided himself on his gaming prowess. He was a force to be reckoned with in Super Smash Bros. And a speed demon in Mario Kart. Mario Party, however, was a different beast. Its cruel mistress, Lady Luck, made a mockery of skill, often favoring the most undeserving. And today, Lady Luck seemed to have a particular fondness for Lily. They were deep into a 30-turn battle on Waluigi's Island, a board infamous for its treacherous spaces and coin-draining traps. Tyson, playing as his trusty Yoshi, was trailing. Not by much, but enough to gnaw at his already frayed edges. He had only 1 star to Lily's 2, and she had a substantial coin lead. Every mini-game loss, every unlucky dice roll, every time Lily landed on a "lucky space," while he hit a "Bowser space," felt like a personal affront. Yes, Lily shrieked, bouncing on her knees, as Princess Peach landed precisely on the star space, instantly purchasing her 3rd star. I'm a superstar. Tyson's jaw clenched. He'd been aiming for that very star. He'd meticulously planned his route, saving his mushroom item for a double roll to get there. But Lily, with a casual flick of the joystick and an infuriatingly lucky roll, had beaten him to it. He could hear his heart thrumming in his ears, a frantic drumbeat against his temples. "It's not fair," he muttered, glaring at the screen, as if it had personally wronged him. "Why do you always get all the good rolls?" "It's just luck, Tyson," Lily said, her voice laced with the innocent condescension of a younger sibling who was currently winning. She loved to playfully antagonize him when she was ahead, a habit she'd picked up from watching him. It was Bowser's turn. Tyson watched in dread, as the giant turtle lumbered across the board, his fiery breath a harbinger of doom. Bowser landed on a "battle mini-game space." Tyson groaned. Battle mini-games were notorious for taking huge chunks of coins from the losers. The mini-game was Stamp Out, a frantic button-mashing challenge where players had to stomp on tiny toads and Koopas to earn points. Tyson mashed the button with furious intensity, his thumb aching, his face contorted in a mask of concentration. His Yoshi character bounced around erratically, his tongue snatching up the hapless creatures. He felt confident. He was faster, more experienced. The results screen flashed. Lily, 23 points. Tyson, 22 points. A single point. 1 single point. Tyson stared at the screen, his breath catching in his throat. He had lost by 1 point. The game announced that he had to forfeit 50 of his hard-earned coins to Lily. 50 coins. That was half his stash, coins he needed to buy a star. A guttural sound escaped his throat, a strangled mix of frustration and despair. His face flushed a deep crimson, his ears burning. He felt a hot, prickling sensation behind his eyes. "That's impossible," he yelled, his voice cracking. "I totally got more. This game is cheating. It's rigged." Lily, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, stopped giggling. Her smile faltered, replaced by a timid expression. "It's okay, Tyson. You can still win." "No, I can't," Tyson shrieked, his voice rising an octave. He felt a wave of injustice wash over him, blinding him to everything but his bubbling rage. Every past flight, every time a mini-game had gone wrong, every star he'd missed, converged into this single agonizing moment. His hands gripped the N64 controller so tightly his knuckles turned white. He wanted to throw it, smash it. Then, the final straw. Lily, with her next turn, landed on a backquote Boo space. Boo, the mischievous ghost, could steal coins or even stars from other players. Without hesitation, Lily selected Tyson. "I'm gonna steal a star from Tyson," she announced, her voice a little shaky now, likely trying to sound brave in the face of his growing fury. Tyson watched in horror, as Boo floated towards his Yoshi, silently snatching away his single, precious star. His last hope of winning, gone. Just like that. His vision swam. Tears, hot and unwelcome, welled up in his eyes, blurring the cheerful, colorful chaos on the screen. He felt an explosion of pure, unadulterated frustration erupt from deep within him. It wasn't just about the game anymore. It was about everything. About feeling helpless, about losing, about his younger sister being better than him, luckier than him, happier than him. He slammed the controller down onto the carpet, the plastic clattering against the floor. "You always do this," he screamed, his voice raw with hurt and anger. He turned on Lily, his face contorted, tears streaming down his face. "You're a pussy." The 4 words hung in the air, sharp and ugly, slicing through the childish innocence of the living room. Lily's eyes widened, her lower lip beginning to tremble. Her small hands went to cover her mouth, as if to hold back a sob. She looked utterly shell-shocked, a tiny, wounded fawn. Just then, Mom walked in, drawn by the crescendo of Tyson's wails. She stopped dead, taking in the scene. Tyson, red-faced and sobbing, Lily on the verge of tears, the discarded controller lying accusingly on the floor. "Tyson Jacob, what did you just say?" Mom's voice was low, dangerous. The kind of low voice that meant trouble. Tyson just gulped, his anger instantly deflating into a mix of shame and fear. He couldn't meet her gaze. "I asked you a question," Mom repeated, stepping closer. "Did I just hear you call your sister a P-word?" He nodded miserably, a fresh wave of tears flooding his eyes. Mom knelt down beside Lily, putting an arm around her. Lily leaned into her, burying her face in Mom's side, quiet, tears now tracing paths down her cheeks. "That is absolutely unacceptable, Tyson," Mom said, her voice firm, unwavering. "We do not use language like that in this house, especially not towards your sister. That word is disrespectful and hurtful. Do you understand?" Tyson mumbled a barely audible, "Yes, Mom." "Good. You know the rules. 5 minutes in timeout. Now, go sit on the backquote thinking chair in the kitchen." Mom pointed towards the sturdy wooden chair in the corner of the kitchen, their designated timeout spot. Tyson shuffled off, feeling the weight of his mother's disappointment and his sister's silent hurt. He slumped onto the cold wooden seat, his sobs gradually subsiding into hiccuping breaths. The initial surge of anger had burnt itself out, leaving behind a hollow, aching emptiness. 5 minutes. It felt like an eternity. He stared at the kitchen tiles, his mind replaying the moment. He saw Lily's face, her wide, hurt eyes, the way her little hands flew to her mouth. He hadn't meant to hurt her. He was just so mad at the game. But the words were awful. He knew they were. He'd heard older kids say them. He knew they were meant to be mean. He was supposed to protect Lily, to be the fun older brother, not the one who made her cry. The game, with its silly stars and coins, now seemed utterly trivial. All he could feel was the knot of guilt in his stomach, the heavy realization of what he'd done. He missed Lily's giggles. He missed their shared excitement over a tricky mini-game. He even missed her playful taunts. "Your 5 minutes are up, Tyson," Mom's voice broke through his thoughts. He slid off the chair, his legs feeling heavy. He walked slowly back into the living room. Lily was still sitting beside Mom, her sniffles having subsided, but her eyes were still red-rimmed. Mom looked at him, her expression softening slightly. "Do you know why you're in timeout?" she asked gently. "Because I yelled at Lily," he whispered, his voice still a little hoarse, "and I called her a bad word." "And how do you think that made her feel?" He glanced at Lily, who was now looking at him, her expression a mix of apprehension and curiosity. "Sad. And scared," he admitted, the words coming with difficulty. Mom nodded. "What do you need to do now?" Tyson took a deep breath, steeling himself. He walked over to Lily, kneeling clumsily beside her. He reached out a hand, hovering it uncertainly before gently touching her arm. "Lily," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. He looked directly into her eyes, which were still a bit watery. "I'm really, really sorry." Lily blinked, her lip quivering again. "I'm sorry I yelled at you," he continued, pushing through the last vestiges of his pride. "And I'm sorry I called you that bad word. It was really mean, and I didn't mean it. The game just hit made me really mad. But that's not an excuse. You're not a pussy. You're my sister, and I love you." The last part came out in a rush, thick with emotion. Lily looked at him for a long moment, then a tiny, wavering smile appeared on her face. She sniffled once more, then leaned forward, wrapping her arms around his neck in a tight hug. Tyson hugged her back, burying his face in her shoulder, feeling a wave of immense relief wash over him. Mom watched them, a soft smile on her face. "That's my good boy," she said softly. "Now, how about we put away the Mario Party and read a book together?" Tyson nodded eagerly, pulling away from Lily. "Yeah," he agreed, a genuine smile returning to his face. "That sounds way better." He glanced at the abandoned N64, the colorful characters frozen on the screen. The game had caused a storm, but their bond, forged in a shared apology, had weathered it. And that, he knew, was a far more important victory. Yay! I read a story about Tyson Jacobs' Mario Party 3 Meltdown. Now I'll remember this for a long time.
Crystal, the story that you read is very inappropriate for someone your age. You are grounded for 3 days. Stay in your room.